And to wrap up, I just want to read something from a project that I just released that is kind of an embodiment, or my first embodiment of this research, and hopefully something that can act as my proxy or my shadow. But essentially what I've done is I've created a database of Black feminist world builders, and I have included all of their biographies in that database, and then I wrote an algorithm that weaves all of their biographies together to create one single nonlinear narrative. And the first entry is a nonlinear narrative between Audre Lorde, Sonya Renee Taylor, and Sojourner Truth, and it spans from 1797 to 1976. To build a world that works for everyone, we must first make the radical decision to love every facet of ourselves. She was not only an anti-slavery activist and colleague of Frederick Douglass, but also a memorist and committed feminist who shows herself engaged in the dignity of women's work. In doing so, she became one of the era's most progressive advocates for slaves and freedmen after emancipation, for women's suffrage, and for the medium of photography. Through lucid and courageous self-revelation, Taylor shows us how to realize the revolutionary potential of self-love. The 67-year-old abolitionist who never learned to read or write pauses from her knitting and looks pensively at the camera. That is to say, Lorde moves deftly between an emphasis upon private survival and collective determination. At a human rights convention, Sojourner Truth commented that she used to be sold for other people's benefit, but now she sold herself for her own. The imprint on the verso features the sitter's statement in bright red ink, as well as a Michigan 1864 copyright in her name. By owning control of her image, her shadow, Sojourner Truth could sell it. If it was ever uncertain, this volume makes clear that even at its most intimate and vulnerable, Lorde's work is a literature of conscience and revolution. The body is not an apology is the mantra we all should embrace. First published in 1980, the Cancer Journals moves between the intimate, unfiltered inner dialogue of journal entries like this one from March 1st, 1979. It is such an effort to find decent food in this place, not to just give up and eat the old poison. In a reading of breast cancer and the industry that surrounds it through the lens of cultural criticism. Born Isabella Bumfree to a family of slaves in Ulster County, New York, Sojourner Truth sits for one of the war's most iconic portraits in an anonymous photographer's studio, likely in Detroit. In these times, when the search for answers to the mounting injustices in our world seems to confound us, Sonya Renee Taylor offers a simple but powerful place to begin, recovering our relationship with our own bodies. After her mastectomy, Lorde chose never to hide the fact of her missing breast. Sojourner Truth, and repeatedly, she was scolded for posing a threat to cancer patient morale. Repeatedly, she refused to wear the wad of lamb's wool pressed into a pale pink breast-shaped pad, pushed upon her by nurses and medical counselors. More than most sitters, Sojourner Truth is both the actor in the picture's drama and its author. And she used the card mount to promote and raise money for her many causes. I sell the shadow to support the substance. So that's from Daily Seed. It's from the August 1st entry. So this project was actually inspired by the Daily Bread booklets that my mom used to get, and it would help her to kind of stay in a daily practice of reverence and stay in a daily practice of spirituality and prayer. And I think we should be in a daily practice of reverence and remembrance of Black feminist world building and labor. So this zine is the August issue, and it has an entry for all 31 days in August. And in the back of the zine, there is a database key, so you can see what the data looks like. And up next, so yeah, the Daily Seed is published by Seeda Press. Seeda Press is a publishing press I just launched, hopefully to publish some shadows. Exodus School of Expression is a residency I'm currently in, and I hope to make the Black feminist world base that allowed me to weave these nonlinear narratives. I hope to make that open source. After this presentation, after the presentation, I will share my arena link with all the links to all of this research, and would love if you would support my Patreons so I can continue this research. And I also want to shout out other Patreons that you should support. Hermetic Press and Post Binary are two amazing cultural organizations in DC that you should open your purses up for and redistribute resources to. So yeah, thank you y'all for listening, and again, honored to be in conversation with all of the artists here.